yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me I'm a bad
made it. Team 32, the Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs. We have gone through every single team in the NFL. We have gone game by game through everybody's schedule, week by week. We have told you what the records are going to be. For the most part, I feel pretty good about them. There's a couple teams that maybe a couple games here or there on, but Kansas City Chiefs are the apex. We have reached the top of the mountain. We're going to go through it all right now. The dynamic, of course, being that we have already talked about every single game the Kansas City Chiefs are going to play this year. We just talked about it on their opponent show. The Adam Hulse, NFL writer at sportskita.com. Find him at Adam Hulse Sports on Twitter. Adam, the record is here. We'll talk about what that is at the end. We know that Kansas City is going to have a lot of wins. We know that we've given Kansas City a lot of wins. The thing I want to talk about, I don't want to talk about the 14-3 record. I don't want to talk about the fact that Mahomes was QB1 in fantasy points. It was QB1 in yards and touchdowns, 41 touchdowns, 5 more on the ground for a total of 46, which is ridiculous. The things that I want to talk about is that their number one running back was RB20. McKinnon, only 291 on the ground, only 1 rushing touchdown. Pacheco, 830 on the ground, 5 rushing touchdowns. CH, 302, 3 rushing touchdowns. But McKinnon had 9 through the air. CH had 3. This team had 9 rushing touchdowns, 12 passing touchdowns. Their receivers, Tony had 2, Hardman had 4, Juju had 3. All those guys are gone. Scantling's still around. He had 42 yards total for 2 touchdowns. And then, of course, they got a decent tight end. He's all right with over 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns. So the receiving core had 35 touchdowns. They bring in Richie James. To me, Kansas City, obviously a great team. Their losses were to Indy, Buffalo, and Cincinnati. Not shocking losses. Maybe the Indy game, of course, being the outlier, but Buffalo and Cincinnati, not shocking losses. Doesn't really matter because they still go and win the Super Bowl. They swept the division last year. Won every single game against division opponents. They don't have a wide receiver 1. And I would argue that they don't even have a wide receiver 2 right now. Sans Kelce. Kelce sits in the tight end position, but really is their wide receiver. And for you, that's kind of the difference.
Talked about that a little bit off the air too. And that, you brought up the fact that, the Chiefs don't have a wide receiver 1. And my counter argument is that Kelce is the wide receiver 1. Just because his positional title says tight end, he's not a tight end. He is a wide receiver. Look at his numbers over the last few years. They're just as good as any other wide receiver in the entire NFL. When you compare him against other tight ends, there is no comparison. His statistics are wide receiver statistics, and it's among probably the top 5 wide receivers in the NFL statistically. So to me, he is their wide receiver 1.
As far as receivers go, he would have finished wide receiver 8 on yardage. He would have finished wide receiver 2 in touchdowns, ahead of Stephon Diggs, ahead of A.J. Brown, ahead of CeeDee Lamb, ahead of Jamar Chase, ahead of Justin Jefferson. Only Adams had more in touchdowns. People cannot figure it out. They can't stop him. The guy is a beast. The guy's an absolute freak.
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy too with Kelce is when you really watch him play, he's not running crisp routes and doing this complex stuff. He just gets open, he does the simple stuff really well. And what it's all about with Kelce right now is it's truly the chemistry with Mahomes. A lot of his routes are option routes. A lot of them are off script and kind of just make things happen type of stuff. And that's why his connection with Mahomes is so special, because they always seem to be on the same page. He goes where Mahomes needs him to go, that unspoken communication, and it's really something special to watch.
Bingo, right there. That's why we have Adam Hulse Sports on the show. That's why he is an NFL writer, because he is spot on. Look, the wide receiver position, running backs, everywhere else out there, Mahomes is playing textbook quarterback with all those guys. He's out there doing the NFL thing. He's following the NFL rules. He's reading the playbook. He's looking for the routes. He's doing everything an NFL quarterback is supposed to do with all those guys. Kelce and Mahomes play street ball all day. They're out there on the playground. They're in the backyard. Those guys are doing whatever they want, whenever they want to. And when the playbook doesn't work, when the NFL rules don't work, Kelce is there And that's why Kelce has over 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns. And that will continue. And that's why teams can't stop it, because defenses are set up to combat the playbook. They're set up to combat NFL rules. The NFL defenses are set to play NFL offenses. Kelce and Mahomes don't play NFL football. They play backyard street football. That is the key to the Kansas City success. That's why Kansas City is going to continue to be successful. That's why they're the favorites. And that's why the Kelce Mahomes show will continue on, despite the fact every single player in the NFL knowing where Mahomes is looking to throw that ball.
Well, yeah, and it's why the Chiefs drive defenses absolutely nuts, right? Because the defenses will do absolutely everything right and everything that they're quote unquote supposed to do and play, theoretically perfect defense, and then Kelce catches a 40-yard touchdown downfield. It's insane to try to cover what Mahomes is doing, especially with Kelce. And it's kind of feeling like at this point, after the whole Tyreek Hill thing last year, and people questioned how it would look without Tyreek Hill, Mahomes went on to win his second MVP without Tyreek. So we kind of put that argument to bed that, he needs better receivers or this or that. In my opinion, it's starting to feel like as long as Mahomes and Kelce are there, the rest of the offense is kind of just plug and play at this point. We know Andy Reid, he did it with the Eagles too. He targets one thing and one thing only with his skill position players, receivers, and backs. You have to have speed. His backs have to be able to catch the ball. His receivers have to be able to run fast. That's been the Andy Reid model ever since Philadelphia. He's repeating it with the Chiefs. He now has Mahomes, and it's all clicking.
We're going to do this one a little bit different. Here's my losses for the Kansas City Chiefs. I got them losing to Chicago because you got to have an outlier. Chicago comes in. I don't really know what happens. It's because you can't have Kansas City win every game. Go back and listen to the Chicago episode. I'm going to figure out why I got Chicago winning, but I think
I got to go listen to that again as well.
Definitely. But I got Chicago winning. I got the Jets winning because it's in New York, and I am kind of high on the Jets this year. I got Miami winning only because it's in Germany and anything can happen. And I got Denver winning at home because I want to give Denver some credit because I think they're going to be improved. And Kansas City swept the division last year. Give Denver a win. So my losses are Chicago, the Jets, Denver, and Miami in Germany. Your losses are Jacksonville because it's in Jacksonville, that Denver game again, and that's it. We got them winning everything else. We got them beating Detroit. We got them beating Minnesota. We got them beating Denver, as I said, the Chargers, Philly, Las Vegas. We got them beating Green Bay, Buffalo, New England, Las Vegas, Cincinnati, the Chargers. I finish them at 13-4. You finish them at 15-2. Either way, ridiculous records. The only AFC team with a better record, there's actually two of them. Who do you think they are, Adam?
Well, I know for me that there's not any. I know that the Chiefs, I know that they're 15-2. They are my one seed. I didn't know that until now because we just, ran through the rest of the AFC West division. So for me, I know they're number one. For you, you said you had two teams with a better record. I'm going to guess the Bengals and Bills.
You have the Bills finishing at a better record than mine.
Okay.
You also have Cincinnati finishing with a better record
I had
than
both of
mine.
them at 14-3.
Correct. Cincinnati, I had tying at 13-4. Depending on whether you look at my record or yours, those are the teams. No big surprise. Buffalo, Cincinnati, Kansas City. Those are the teams that we think are going to be there at the end. You have Kansas City finishing hands down at the top. I actually have Cincinnati, but I have Kansas City beating them. So I guess I still have Kansas City as the number one seed as well. So no real big surprise that we have Kansas City. Little different how we got here. I'm really kind of surprised that I have them so high without a true second threat at wide receiver. Kelce is the wide receiver one, but I don't see anybody else after that. I do like Richie James. I do think Andy Reid can scheme some stuff with Scantling, but everybody else is gone. I just don't know where they're going to get it. But like you said off show, they got the thing nobody else has, and that's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, he's surrounded by speed at the wide receiver position, which is exactly what Andy Reid wanted. That's how his system works, and it's proven to be super successful with and without Mahomes, by the way. Andy Reid has had success calling plays everywhere he's been and with every quarterback that he's had. Now just pair him with, one of the most talented quarterbacks we've ever seen in NFL history, and now it's all clicking. I think it's going to be a step-up type of situation for some guys. I mean, Kadarius Toney, if he could stay healthy, I think he can have a big year. For me, I'm actually really looking at Sky Moore in the receivers because
a lot of people are.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs drafted him high, and they think highly of him as a prospect. They had a pretty loaded or maybe not loaded, but a deep room of wide receivers last year that, took away some of Sky Moore's playing time. I think he's going to get a ton of playing time this year, and he's really a guy to watch out for as a breakout player in that offense.
He's definitely someone people are going to watch. I happen to reside in South Carolina, so I've seen a lot of Sky Moore. Mm-hmm. I'm not convinced he's going to be amazing. I do believe that Mahomes can make him look really, really good. Yeah. I think he will be a good fit in that system. Honestly, I think I would be a good fit in Kansas City with Mahomes throwing me the ball. Right. I think anybody can look good in that system with Reid and Mahomes and everything, because you only have to do so much. You don't have to stand out. They've got Kelce to do that for you. So as long as you catch the balls, again, Scantling, only 42 yards, had his 2 touchdowns. He did what he was supposed to do. Juju Smith-Schuster, the only guy close to a 1,000-yard receiver other than Kelce at 933, still only had 3 touchdowns, and they go to the Super Bowl and win the whole thing. So you don't have to do a lot as a receiver. Mahomes will take care of you. Just catch the ball when he throws it to you. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, you made a great point there, kind of about Sky Moore, and I should kind of rephrase that because of the point that you just made. I'm not super high on Sky Moore. I'm super high on Sky Moore with Patrick Mahomes.
That's it right there. You put Sky Moore somewhere else, I don't know. A lot of people looking at this record, wow, 15-2, 13-4, you guys are crazy. I know it's Kansas City, but the big teams, they have to play Philly. They got to play Buffalo. They got to play Cincinnati. They play all those games at home. They play in Kansas City. Kansas City already a tough place to play. Those teams have historically had a hard time. Yes, Cincinnati has been able to handle Kansas City until the last game that they played. And now Kansas City has shown that they can beat Cincinnati at home, kind of putting them over the hump as Arrowhead being the toughest place to play. Kansas City's already very good. Yes, they have to play top teams like that, but they get them at home, and that's a huge advantage.
Absolutely a huge advantage with how good the Chiefs are in general, as we've been singing their praises. Arrowhead is a tough stadium to play, even without Mahomes and with how successful the Chiefs have been in recent years. Arrowhead is loud. Those fans are nuts. The Chiefs in any year is a tough place for road teams. Add in the fact that it's Mahomes, it's Andy Reid, it's the, 2-time Super Bowl champions now. It's, in my opinion, the most difficult place for any team to play in the current state of the NFL.
And to that point, when they go to Jacksonville, you gave them the loss. I know you're up on Jacksonville this year, but again, the power of home and a good team playing at home, it matters.
The home matters there, but look, if you've listened to any of these episodes when Trevor Lawrence comes up, you know how high I am on Trevor Lawrence. I don't think that crazy stretch at the end of last year was a fluke. I believe that's who he is. That's who he was supposed to be. That's how he was rated as a prospect. And I think especially with the Jaguars getting the Chiefs early in the year before the Chiefs are really fully rolling, I think that win of Trevor Lawrence over Patrick Mahomes is kind of his statement game of a look, I'm here and I'm here to stay. We didn't just catch fire last year. This is who we are now. I'm Trevor Lawrence. This is the Jags. I can compete with the best of the best, and let's go.
And to kind of just put a bow on this whole thing with Kansas City, they swept the division last year. Okay, so we went ahead and gave them 1 win, but regardless how you look at it, that's still 5 wins right there. They got to play Minnesota, who has a horrible secondary. That's 6 wins. Chicago has not a great secondary. I mean, I gave them 1, but honestly, let's be real. Detroit, again, not a fantastic secondary. The teams that can really have the tools to take down or to even compete with a team like Kansas City is Miami, who they got to play in Germany, Philly, Buffalo, Cincinnati, all in Kansas City, and then the Jets in week 4. I mean, the schedule is nice for Kansas City. Where they play is nice for Kansas City. When they play is nice for Kansas City. Everything just lays out perfectly in the fact of the when, the where, the how, and obviously the who. Kansas City set to definitely make the playoffs, and they're the favorites for a reason. They are set to make another appearance in the Super Bowl.
They're obviously so good, and Mahomes is so good that they don't need those advantages, but, they're definitely a bonus, and they're definitely a help, as you kind of laid out. The difficult spots on their schedule this year, pretty much all of them, they get to do them at home. The Chiefs were the best team, obviously, in the NFL last year. There's little reason to believe that they won't be again this year. So, I gave them a 15-2 record, which is a very, very good record, obviously. It's not even that much better than they've already been. So it's not outlandish to say they're going to win 15 because they almost won 15 last year.
Yeah, they went 14-3. I gave them 1 less. You gave them 1 more. We've gone through the entire NFL NFL team by team. We've broken down the records. The only thing left for us to do is a wrap-up show. So we're going to have to do that. Pay attention. Look out for it. We'll let you know where everybody's going to finish, who made the playoffs. To me, I've kind of already made my AFC Super Bowl pick anyway, but we'll probably get into that as well. It's kind of something you got to do. And we'll do it all with the Adam Hulse, NFL writer over at sportskita.com. Head over to Sportskita. That's with a K, K-E-E-D-A, sportskita.com. Find Adam Hulse's stuff there, or you can just go over to his Twitter at Adam Hulse Sports and branch out from there. Come check out that effing sports show while you're over there. You can stream us anywhere you get podcasts. You can throw the YouTube videos up in the background at work. The episode's only about 15-20 minutes. Get through the entire NFL, find your favorite team, find the rivals, go through the entire thing, find out how we have every NFL team finishing this year. You can count on it pretty good because we got Adam Hulse here. We appreciate you guys listening. This is Kansas City on the road to the playoffs, possibly another Super Bowl. Thanks for joining us. That effing sports show, EFIN. Take care, everybody.